Alright, well, here we are, and we've got all the tape off of here. So I'm just going to get all that moved out of the way, and we're ready now to start looking at how to put an eyebrow on there. I have put here, there's some additional material kind of sticking up at the end of the nose, and that's okay because I'm going to see about integrating that into part of the eyebrow. And it may or may not stay like that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But the key details to remember about the eyebrow is you have to match the shape of the tiki here. The eyebrow here on Frank is not the world's best example because of the way it's shaped, but you'll notice there's like a shelf here and a kind of a overhang for that shelf, and it kind of wraps all the way around. Frank here had an extra section added to his forehead because that's what Frankenstein kind of looks like, Frankenstein's monster. And this isn't exactly going to be the same, certainly not for that tiki there. But what we're going to do is we are going to add, you can see there's this section here of eyebrow, and that is going to be existent on our tiki that we're doing right here. So I'll show you how that process works. I always start with a piece that has a curve already cut in it, and that curve turns out kind of likes to wrap around the eye, and you can see where it's curved, it kind of gives it already that three-dimensional shape. It creates a shelf, and it's also curved. So actually that one works out pretty darn good. So I'm going to start with this one. Got a little chunk over here that's just not necessary. Cut it off. And what we're going to do is we're going to start from a point and a point on both sides, but I am going to make it kind of thick here, and we'll see what it does. So notice there is a lot of curve here because there is quite a bit of curve right here. So I'm going to curve it pretty thick. And there it is. It's very much an apostrophe kind of shape. A lot of people, every year somebody cuts an eyebrow and they kind of shape it like this. And they say, Mr. Patterson, why doesn't my eyebrow look like yours does? It's like, well, you've got a straight line. If you've got a straight line across the top of your eyebrow, you're going to get a different shape than if you curved the bottom of it and the top of it. And notice this is a pretty extreme shape. It goes way far around. Now before I glue this on, which I am going to do, I'm going to tape it and glue it because it looks to me like it's pretty near perfect. Let's try it this way. Yeah, I think we'll taper it to the rear. I could even taper it. You can see I can taper it around the eye, which gives me a much heavier eyebrow, or I can taper it upward here, and that gives it a totally different look. It has a little bit more, I don't know, more avian or even feminine, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it around the eye and make the upper part of the eyelid here a little heavier. We'll see what that looks like. So before I attach this though, I'm going to see if I've got one that's pretty close. This one wants to be, yep, there it is. That one is real close to a match. So what I'm going to do, I'm not even going to trace it with a pencil. I'm just going to cut it out by holding one right on top of the other. And what this does, it gives me a little bit of symmetry. My tiki is not exactly the same left or right, but if it's got some symmetrical or nearly symmetrical features, it kind of just makes it look a little more balanced. And that's what I'm doing right here. This thing needs to be cut there. And I can trim both at the same time if I don't want any variation at all, and just kind of trim them together. I'll watch my fingers there. And there it is, just like that. I got two pieces that are pretty close to identical. One's a wee bit bigger than the other. trim that off. And we'll slide it around, and that's it. Now they're pretty well identical. I'm going to make the thicker part, notice it's got a bit of a swell to one side. I'm going to make the thicker part closer to the nose, and that thicker part will kind of join in with this section here. I might even put it behind it and see what it does. Yep, I think that's what I'll do. I think I will put it behind it. So I'm going to join this piece here to this piece here and wrap it around the eye. Yeah, I kind of like the way that looks. So I'm going to get a little piece of tape, doesn't take a big one. I'm going to put it on the inside of this and stick it right there. And I'm going to put it to the curve kind of fits up here. And now that'll hold that whole thing on there, and you can see it kind of wants to lay flat, but when you pull it so that the curvature goes around the eye, it creates a shelf, and that's what I'm looking for. And I'll take a little bit bigger piece of tape to hold that shelf in place.